That's somebody's child right there. That's somebody's nephew right there. That's somebody's father right there.
What's good, everyone? We out here shooting. You might get shot. Square Roots in the building. Excerpt Beats. Jerome Duffy. March 21st. Be on the lookout. You do the math.
Eyes on me feels like I'm about to beam up. The shining and focused lights on me. Long beard with a head wrap. Has people ready to fight with me, yet I'm bearing this.
You should stay a square instead of acting tough. Get caught up in some stuff to end up locked up in some cuffs, or stuffed in a pine box, or put in an urn. That's a hard lesson to learn. Playing with firearms will get you burned.
Doc. Could you mic get shot?
Microphone check. 1, 2, 2. What's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Scrillz himself, aka Fetty Scrillz. That is You Might Get Shot by Square Roots. And that project's called You Do the Math. That's coming out March 21st. Scrillz MO Music. Check it out. It's hot. It's all about real hip hop. It brings you back. I told them, shout out to Excerpt Beats and Jerome Duffy. I told them that the project reminded me of back in the day, the old Tribe Called Quest project with Q-Tip and Fight Dog and all them. Shout out to them. But real hip hop, man, that's what that project's all about. Like I said, March 21st. You can pre-save it now. It's out. It'll be out everywhere. The video will be out March 31st. You really got to check it out. It tells you a lot about, some social issues that's going on right now, along with, racism and all that. But it's dope. We got an interview tonight with Detroit music producer and songwriter Tim Deo. He's a little bit behind. He's trying to work things out on the technical side. So, we're going to have him tune in as soon as he can get plugged in right. But until then, I'm going to go and play another trailer for you. It's out. The video's been out for a while now, but check it out as you've been saying the remix.
Best friend, someone to text friend. Soon as I become your ex, he'll become the sex friend. Don't make yourself look less than playing these silly games. Instead of speaking the truth, you repeating lies to my face like,
I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. I know that you've been saying he's your best friend. But do you remember when you said he was your cousin? I know that you've been saying he's your best friend, but do you remember?
Yeah. That's You Been Saying the remix. Like I said, it's been out for a while now. It's a dope visuals. We had a good time doing that video. Shout out to Six, the director. Shout out to Mike Polk, A Polk Productions. Shout out to all the cast members who helped us with that video. And shout out to, of course, Rekka and Excerpt Beats for the feature. But yeah, people love that video. They love that song. Got a couple of influencers that have been doing videos on TikTok with the song as well. Shout out to Shelly Belly Comedy and a couple other ones that we're doing real good with the song. But yeah, just show some love. Any of the projects that are out right now with Scrillz MO Music are dope. We got a lot on the way. I was on TikTok and Instagram earlier telling about the projects that we have in store. And then also with the management and consulting, doing a lot of mentoring, a lot of teaching, a lot of consulting with artists and labels about, artist development, project management, time management, and of course, music mentoring and consulting. A lot of people that are bringing out music just don't understand how to market, strategize, and work their project. And I posted something last night that was on my mind. A lot of times when I post things, it's because it's coming to me or I've experienced it, or it might be happening right now, or it may have happened to somebody else and may have not necessarily happened to me. But I brought something out and posted it last night on Facebook about Get your ass out the studio and start promoting your music that's already out. The reason I brought that out was because too many times artists are depending on other people to promote their music, and the only thing they wanted to worry about is bringing it out. They want to worry about going to the studio, writing it, recording it, mixing and mastering it. They don't understand that that's only a small fraction of the importance of the actual project. And also, they got to realize that you as an artist have to be behind your work. So it don't matter if you got 100,000 to $1 million worth of marketing and promotion, for that project. If you're not behind it, people won't respect it. I had a couple of friends of mine last year that I had to tell the same thing to because they were doing more work than their artists were. And that's why I'm nothing against anybody that's actually have people doing this, but you got to understand you're going to go a lot farther when you are behind the project that's yours. If I'm the manager and the marketer for somebody and they don't never show their face for the project, a lot of times people won't buy it. They may stream it, but they won't buy it because they don't respect it. They like, where is this artist? All I see is his manager, or all I see is his promoter, or all I see is his CEO or her CEO. So you have to get behind what you believe in, and if you don't, people will not believe. It's not believable. It's like me creating a vehicle, a car, this sports car, but you never see me driving it. You never see, what I'm doing with it. You never see me behind the wheel. You always see other people behind the wheel, but you just don't see me behind the wheel. And that's what people got to understand and realize, that you have to be behind your project. It don't matter how many money, putting money behind projects is great when you're behind it too. But, 15, 20 years ago when I was doing music, you had a lot of people that had a lot of money to put behind their project, but they didn't have the talent. So eventually it didn't go anywhere. It may have went somewhere in the very beginning, but it came to a standstill. So now it's more, you may have the money, you may not have the money as an artist, but you might depend strictly on your promoter or your manager or your publicist or somebody like that to promote your music. It's your music. It's not theirs. So even if they are promoting it, that's what the whole team concept comes into play about. It's a team, and you are the first member of the team. You are. So it can't be the team and you're part of the team. So when it comes to, like I said, once again, promote the project and stop making 1,000 songs when you're not promoting 1,000 songs that are already out. How much sense does it make for you to continue to bring out music over and over and over again when the music that's already out is still new and is still not being promoted? So, like I said, we teach artists and labels how to come together and with a solution and come up with a solution. And that's the best way to do things, because stop making it seem like you're going to run out of time. A lot of times, artists and labels, they feel like they have to do it right now. With the climate that's going on right now, if I was to be honest with anybody, any artist, any label right now, what I would say is the most important things that you could ever do is after you make the song and you, of course, come up with a budget to invest for marketing and promotion, it's time to show your face. So, interviews, performances. That's what I will be doing outside of promoting my music, because this way, okay, it looks like he's coming on pretty soon, Tim Deo. But like I said, when you're in front of the music, it is very important. So, like I said, with interviews and performances, that is the way to go right now. Honestly, it's the way to go. Have your team market digitally market your music. You, on the other hand, are doing performances. You are doing interviews. You are doing pop ups. You are doing whatever it takes to stay in front of the camera. You might even be on YouTube or Facebook or something like that doing your music, weekly or doing something, but you have to promote yourself. And then you have your team promoting you as well, and it all come together. But right now, with just the way things are going around the world, you can promote yourself by performing. Find a group of people that y'all have the same interests. Maybe y'all are all artists up and coming, or veteran artists or whatever, and come up with a plan where you can figure out venues to perform at, and don't make the prices sky high where people won't want to buy a ticket. Like, they're like, it's not worth it. For one, he or she's not that famous or popular yet, so why am I paying $25 a head to go see him or her perform 5 to 6 songs that I don't even know? So you got to make it make sense. Like I said, get in front of it. Try to do as many radio and podcast interviews you can, just to be seen, because any network that you go into, that you involve yourself, it's new to you. So if I'm interviewing you on this show, and then you go to another radio promoter or something like that, interview him or her, then you go to another, they're all different networks. Nobody has the same network, not the exact same network. We might all know the same people and might all be around the same people, but our networks are different. Some people that listen to the music or the podcast or whatever, read the books that I bring out, they don't do it for the others, and vice versa. So, like I said, and it's the same concept and philosophy for performing. Start off in your city, of course, but go where people are going to show you love. Contact areas 2 or 3 hours away, 20, 30 minutes away from you, and see, hey, you mind if I do a set here? Or maybe I bring in a crowd, and you can promise, I'm going to bring in 50 to 100 people that are going to buy drinks or that are going to buy tickets, and figure out a strategy and a solution to things, and it'll work. But like I said, right now, it's all about promoting yourself first before everybody else gets on the bandwagon. Because guess what? Promoters want money to promote, period. And everybody that promotes you on your team is going to want something in return eventually. Maybe not right now, but eventually they will. And it's okay. Nothing's wrong with that. They supposed to, especially if they out here, in the trenches with you and on the grounds doing everything they supposed to do. Yeah, they accept. I mean, they deserve to want something. But like I said, before that even happens, you got to get in front of it. And if you don't get in front of it, then you're cheating yourself. Okay, and then you're cheating them too. Because think about it: if they're putting in 110%, and you're only putting in 50, how fair is that to them? Because they're not even you. They're not the artist. So if you're putting in 50% and they're putting in 110%, then you're cheating everybody around you, period. Everybody around you. So, like I said, that's the reason why, I posted that, because I see it a lot. I see people making Instagram lives and all kind of other stuff about them being in the studio, blah, blah, blah. And that's cool. But what they don't realize, and I'm sending a message to Tim Dale right now, that's why I'm kind of moving around. What they don't realize is this. Most of the people, the majority of the people that you see in these studio sessions, that are enjoying life and having a good time and making dope music and drinking and smoking and whatever else, they done made it. They've already made it. So you're watching them and you're trying to take a page out of their book, but you haven't gotten there yet. And it's like, don't waste a whole bunch of time trying to mimic people that aren't on your level, or you're not on their level, if I would say. Don't do it because, like, if I compare myself to Michael Jordan and I try to go out and look like him and I try to go out and play like him and, whatever, eventually down the road, I'm going to realize I'm not him, or something's going to stop me and prevent me from moving forward to continue to mimic that person. So what I'm saying is that you can watch all these Instagram live, you can watch YouTube documentaries, Netflix, whatever you want to watch. Eventually, it comes to a point where you got to tell yourself, I'm not them. I got to do what's right for me. And that goes back to the whole hanging out at the studio 90 days a week, 90 hours a week. If you were to write one or two songs or just do a project and focus on that project for a little while, you will understand that it takes hard work, it takes effort, it takes commitment to get in the situation of these people that you're trying to mimic. I talked to a few artists last week, and I just explained to them how important it was to not focus on continuing to bring out song after song after song, because guess what? All the big dogs, all the A-listers, all the, like successful artists this year right now, last year they only brought out one or two projects. This year they only brought out one. They're promoting a single. It's March. So we're 3 months into the new year. If they brought out a project or a single in December or January, they're still promoting that song. They're not bouncing off the next song and the next song, or got 3 or 4 songs out all at the same time. If anything, it's a project. So they've already strategically planned that I'm gonna promote this song for this amount of time, and then I'll move right into the next song. So that's why I'm saying, like, you gotta understand how things work. And it's just like that in anything. It's not just music. So that's why a lot of the times I can consult somebody that's opening up a barbershop, or somebody that's opening up an ice cream parlor, or somebody that's opening up, a pizza place or whatever, because the strategies are the same. It's just different pieces. And that's what you got to understand. Don't spend your money you're spending more money when you're in the studio. So let's say you got your studio, and let's say that you spend hours and hours and hours on doing songs, bringing out tracks, making beats, new beats, blah, blah, blah. Now, I won't knock anybody that's making beats, but guess what? If you have a project that's been sitting because you're out here making new beats, how beneficial is that to you? If you got this project that has potential sitting, it may be out, may be released, but it's not going anywhere because you really ain't promoted. You ain't put the pieces in it to promote it. How much sense does that make to put that to the side to make a beat that hasn't been sold yet, that hasn't went anywhere yet, that is brand new to you, when you already got something packaged up and ready? So that's why, everything has to make sense. Sometimes people make things a lot harder and complicated, more complicated than they really are. If you just sit back and watch how things work, then you will understand, you will have a clear idea how things could work for you. If you just take your project after it's done, before you release it, you did all the hours in the studio, You then mixed and mastered it. You then perfected it to, your doing. And now you just sit back for about a week, maybe 3 days, 3 days to a week, and you just say, so what am I really gonna do with this project? For one, you got to ask yourself how far you want it to go. And if you don't have goals for each project, you're wrong. So just think about this. You have to have goals for each project. I talk to probably 25 to 50 artists or labels a week. And in that 25 to 50, when they come with, trying to talk business, I always say, so what are your goals for the project? Some of them be like, what? Huh? Well, you know what? I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. But guess what? When somebody asks you that type of question, the next time you have a conversation with them, you should have an answer for them. Because you just learned something. You're like, man, I was on the phone with Scrillz and he asked me what was my goals for my project. And nobody ever asked me that. Well, that's because, people come at different angles. Some people don't know that you got to have a goal. What's your goal? So going back to what I was saying, sit there after you didn't, finish your project and think about it. What are my goals for this? If it's a single, what are my goals? Where do I want this to go? How far, how much money I want to put into it? What am I doing with it? Do I want it to be placed in, possibly a movie or a sitcom or commercial? Or do I just want this to be like a street track? Do I want it to be on radio? Do I want a video for this? Blah, blah, blah. You have to think of that. And the more you think about it, the more it'll make sense for where it's going. Because, I could take a project. Like I was talking to somebody last week and they said, they brought up something. I said, you know what? I said, don't even release it. And they looked at me and they said, why? I said, why don't you just play with it a little bit? And they said, what do you mean by that? I'm like, put it on the radio. Let's pitch it to music supervisors and sync licensors, for possible placements. It's like, you ain't got to release it. Nobody said that you had to release a song every time you was finished with it. I was like, think about it. They don't do that. I'm like, you hear about artists that had songs for 10 years that they ain't never brought out. But you also figure out that song been in movies and it never came out. That's why they didn't want it to come out. It can always come out. That's the easy part. So, you got to think about where you're going with the music. And then once you think about that, it's like, oh, okay. Well, you know what, this song right now, I don't think the world's ready for it. It might have something in it that they ain't ready for right now. So how about I just put this thing to use with some music supervisors and try to pitch it for possible placements and maybe in commercials, something like that. Or maybe I sell this song because my voice really ain't all that. And I sell it to another artist and they bring it out. How about that? Those are other things that artists don't think about, labels don't think about sometimes. So that's why it's really important about educating yourself and really paying attention, because I know a few artists right now that if I could really get to them, I would tell them to stop releasing music, not bringing out music, not creating music, but releasing it. Just use the music that you got and start really focusing on it, meaning that selling tracks to artists, selling beats to artists. You don't necessarily have to bring out everything that you make, or just putting it to use on different platforms, or just, if push come to shove, put the song out on Audio Mac or SoundCloud. See how far it go before you ever put it out on a digital platform like YouTube or Apple or Spotify. Put that thing out on Audio Mac. See how far it goes. See if it's even worthy of being released. Or put it on a couple of mixtapes. See how far it go. So many different ways you can get creative with this stuff, but people just think they gotta do it this certain way because they seen Ice Cube do it this way or Snoop or whoever. Well, guess what? You ain't them and they ain't you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And at the end of the day, it's all about you creating your own legacy. You're not creating a legacy for them. They already created it. It's too many times that people are trying. It's okay to take different things from different people and make it your own or try to make it your own. But don't get to the point where you want to do any and everything like this person because you're never going to be that person. That's already been proven. There's several people out here, celebrities, entertainers, athletes, that tried to be or look or act or, you know, create an image like somebody else. They didn't turn out to be that person. Rappers trying to sound like this person, athletes trying to play like that person, entertainers trying to look like this person. Still ain't working. There's nothing wrong with that. So, like I said, you got to create your own lane, and the only way you can create your own lane is by doing the right things, taking the necessary steps. So that's what I got to say about that. And I really think and hope that people who possibly are not on this interview right now and watching this can go and play this back because it's a lot of good game that I'm giving out. And, I pay attention a lot. I don't have to do a whole bunch of talking, at all, but I just pay attention and look at people and what they do. And people kind of underrate my knowledge of music and business, but it speaks for itself. I I was starting startup companies before people was calling them startups. I was like 20 some years old when I came up with the first idea of a company. And that's crazy. Now this is kind of like normal, but 20 years ago it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So people kind of, they underrate things that's right in front of them. But the game's here, and I got it if you want it, but you gotta want it. And I was talking to one of my big homies yesterday, and a lot of these artists that really say they want it, they don't want it because they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. They too busy starstruck. Got too many groupies out here, and not only artists. You got everybody that's supposedly a part of this music industry in some way or form. Some of the people are just being groupies. Like even the ones that say they've been there, they've seen this person, they hung with this person, they act around this person. I'm always with this person. Some of them still being groupies. You got to get away from that because, granted, they could hook you up, or they could not. It just depends. Nobody's promising you anything. If you really been there, or if you've been around people that actually had it, that ain't nobody promising you nothing. You could be with the biggest rapper, the biggest singer, biggest producer, still might not get on. That's been proven too. That's another thing that people think, in certain ways how things work, and everything's a puzzle and how the pieces fit. And so you just got to figure out where you're good at, what you're good at, and how, what you're going to create. You might have a in, you might have a plug, but that plug might tell you and be honest with you and say, look, don't think just because you my cousin that I'm gonna sign you and you just gonna blow up overnight. And just because I got 40 platinum plaques, on the wall at my house means that I'm just gonna give you a signing bonus and give you all access to the studio with A-list producers and da da da. It don't work like that at all, and that's been proven. So where I'm going with this is look, you got to figure out whatever in you have, if you have an in, how you going to become effective, because you might only get it one opportunity to become effective. You might be in a room with 4 execs and they might be like, all right, man, they might just catch you off guard and say, make me a beat. And if you make me a beat, this will go on my new artist's project. and you might be like, oh, so that might be your end. Or you might have to wait and grind it out and continue to make moves and connections and so forth until something finally stick, where people are convinced that you legit, because that's what happens a lot of times. A lot of times people don't feel like you're legit, so they'll kind of feed you a little bit here, until you finally are fed, and it's like, all right, they good. Okay, let's work now. But that's something that you're gonna have to figure out. And then, taking bad advice versus good advice, you got to go with your gut. If you got somebody that's always throwing out these names, name dropping, it could be something to that, or it might not be nothing to that. I've had people that I've been around that threw out a whole bunch of names and then couldn't make nothing happen. And then I had people that didn't throw out any names and could make a whole bunch happen. A lot, like anything they touched was gold. Those are the people that you normally don't even know that they got connections like that. You got to find out and do your research. And there's nothing wrong with that either. So it looks like, Tim D8, he's not going to be able to make it tonight. I don't know what's going on with the technical device, but whatever it is, he's having technical issues. It's too bad, because it would have been a dope interview, but we can always reschedule. But before I get off here, I just want to say that with the advice that you get, take it with a grain of salt, and unless it's consistent. Like if you run into somebody and every time they tell you something is golden, stick with it. But if you run into somebody and it's you kind of curious, kind of suspicious, then or what they telling you is bull, and it and they know it, don't take no advice from them. And like I said, if people are always name dropping, or they always in the room, but they ain't never making like things happen on their own, you gotta take it for what it's worth. And there's nothing wrong with people like that either. Don't get that twisted either. He or she might be in the room, but they just play their role. But some people that's quote unquote playing their role will try to make it seem like they bigger than they really are. But that's for you to find out. And that's why I said, pay attention. Regardless of what field you're in. It don't have to necessarily be music. It could be anything. Just pay attention. Look at your surroundings. Beware of them, because at the end of the day, it might not be what it seems. It don't matter. I hung around people that swore up and down they was going. I had people I hung around with in music, 20 years ago, that swore up and down that they was gonna get on, and 20 years later they ain't on. It never was. And I'm pretty sure that they disappointed that they depended on somebody that they thought was going to get them on. But what I said at the beginning of this conversation, it's not about them and what they can do for you. It's because you can't be them. You got to be yourself. So looks like my viewers are going down. That sounds like that's my cue. Like I said, unfortunately, we couldn't have the interview that we wanted to have tonight. But we'll just have to reschedule that. But like I said, check out all the new music that's coming out with us. Check out me on all social media platforms at Skrilltown, MOBIZ. And then until next time, we're out. 100.
Other than being a superstar, that's somebody's child right there. That's somebody's nephew right there. That's somebody's father right there.
What's good, everyone? We out here shooting. You might get shot. Square Roots in the building. Excerpt Beats. Jerome Duffy. March 21st. Be on the lookout. You do the math.
Eyes on me feels like I'm about to beam up. The shining and focused lights on me. Long beard with a head wrap. Has people ready to fight with me, yet I'm bearing this.
You should stay in square instead of acting tough. Get caught up in some stuff to end up locked up in some cuffs, or stuffed in a pine box, or put in an urn. That's a